Hello, people! How's it going? Happy Valentine's Day. This is really loud music. Hold on. There we go. Hello! How people do? Are you guys excited for today's stream? I am the all-knowing fairy of all the advice. I am here. I am ready. Darkfire, I'm not ready. Darkfire, are you not ready? Are you just not ready? Okay, wait, hold on. Let me go through. ALH09, hello, Lawrence. Hello, truly an auspicious day for St. Valentine's. I'm so glad. Aaron, this is going to be a spicy stream. Oh, boy. I'm PG-13. I feel like I need a PG-13 label to make sure people know that I am PG-13. But welcome, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining membership. Thank you for being a Choco enjoyer. Gotta get that Choco icon and green name back. That's right. That's right. Wither, hi, Ro, here, but not for long. Not feeling well. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks, Wither, so much. It's great to see you. And thank you so much for 23 months and being a no Choco, no lifer. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. I hope you get some rest. I hope you still get to eat some dessert for this fun day. But I'm so sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better. But thank you always for your support and for coming by. It's great to see you. But yeah, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. Thank you for the Choco. Darkfire, thank you for the Choco. Cinnamon Roll. Oh my gosh, so close. We're here. Tamuas, hello. Darkfire, thank you so much for being a member for 25 months. Oh boy, love advice is something we can all use. Listen. Do I have the right to be giving love advice? Do I have this right? K4B1, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. But Darkfire, yes, thank you so much for being a member for 25 months. Holy crap. That means you've been with me for 2 Valentine days? Is that what it means? Welcome. Victoria, hello. Welcome. Aaron, this is the first time in a long while that I made the start of the stream. I'm glad you were able to make it. I realize the music is not audible at all now. Okay, Mark, thank you so much for being a member for 5 months and for being a member on YouTube and Twitch. Thank you. I totally forgot I was a member. It's okay, it happens. Hold on, let me say hi to Twitch really quick and then I'll come back to YouTube. Mark, hello, thank you for being thank you for being a member for 4 months. Let's go, it's gonna be great. Insanely Bliss, hello. I'm not rated G. I'm rated G. I'm rated PG-13. Listen, I'm a little bit too not say so for a G-rated stream, I think. Happy Valentine's Day, JP. What is love? I don't know. If you figure it out, let me know. Rachi, hello. And thank you for your question, Rachi. I saw it. I will be sharing it today. My Sweet Piano, hello. Victoria Rodriguez, hello. MRZ, hello. Magic, thank you for modding. Please save my butt. Thank you. Jury, happy Valentine's Day. Jury, happy Valentine's Day. Teeter, hello. 3 free chocos for you. Just 3? Just 3? I deserve more! More! All the Choco! All the Choco! I'm imparting my fabulous love advice. Okay, I deserve more! I'm kidding. Sahiki, happy Valentine's. Thank you. It's great to see you. I think I got everybody. Is it? Wait, no, I didn't. Zayshawn, hello. Happy Valentine's Day, bro. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're having a good one. Rachi, me and my husband. Say hi, Rachi. Hi! Rachi and her husband. Hello. Welcome. Okay. I'm really excited. Do I have the right to be giving this advice? Probably not. Am I still gonna give it anyway? Yes. But I do think, for what it's worth, I think I've been told I give good advice. I've been told I give relatively good advice. So I'd like to think that this is okay, that this stream will be okay. But for what it's worth, I think it'll be nice to get, like, what is it? I'll share what I think, but I think, you know, chat will also maybe share what they think, and I think that might help answer some of the questions I got. And then what I'll do is, I know I did this kind of last minute, and I didn't get to have this up as long, so perhaps I don't know if everybody got to ask the questions they wanted to ask. So what I will also do is, after I finish going through these questions, I'll open up the YouTube question and answer thing. I've never used it before, but hopefully it'll be fine. And you can ask more of your questions there. Yes. So that's the other thing I'll do. So give me just a second. Let's go ahead and jump into the first question. I'm going by order of when I received them. So I know, Lawrence, you gave me the first question, so we'll start with you. But in the meantime, I hope like you guys are all having fun. You guys got to eat something sweet. I ate some choco today. It was really yummy. I love eating choco. In case you didn't know. But let's start with Lawrence's question. I will put it up on the screen. Give me just a second. I would have liked to have prepared this way farther in advance, but as you guys know, I've had a really busy work day. So instead, I am doing this now. But I have the questions ready, so it'll be good. So Lawrence, you asked me... Oh, this is really not showing up at all. Is it showing up for you guys? Do you guys see the question, or is it just not showing up? Is it just me? I think this is should be okay. Okay. Hello? Is it showing? No? You can't see the question? Nope. Okay, wait, hold on. Oh, I see. It was in the back. Okay. So this question that totally fits in this little screen that I made, but it doesn't. You know what? Let's fix this. Make this visible. This should be good. There we go. Okay, so the question was, what's the best way to approach the opposite gender without being weird about it? Coming from someone who's super introverted, this is a big obstacle for me. So Lawrence, you asked this question. I get it. I am also very super introverted. Hold on, let me also move this up so maybe it's more visible if it's like this. Maybe. Can you guys see it still okay? I hope this is more visible. Okay, so yes. So Lawrence, I get it. I'm also very, very introverted, and I find it really difficult to sometimes talk to people in general, let alone people that I might be interested in. So here's the advice that I think kind of works for me personally, and maybe it'll work for you as well. But one of the first things I think is to find a topic that you know, or at least you think you know, the other person enjoys. So you don't want to be weird about something. You can kind of just say, hey, I heard that you liked XYZ. Like, you know, I'm really interested in that. Who's your favorite? Like, for example, let's say it's anime. You can say, hey, I heard that you liked anime. Like, do you have like a favorite anime? I've been looking at, like, you know, I've been watching this. Like, what do you think? To start off with kind of approaching them on something that they feel comfortable about. So that's one of the first ways I think really works for me personally, and how if someone approaches me like that, I don't feel as like weirded out or creeped out or kind of like it's why are you here? Like, I don't feel that way. So that's one of the first ones. The second way I recommend is if you feel like you don't already have a way to kind of interact with that person already. Like, let's say, you know, you're not, like, let's say if this is your classmate, you can kind of go up to them. You have a reason to be near them, right? Because you're in the same class. But if it's someone, if you're just trying to meet more people, I recommend joining some kind of group, like a hobby group, that shares your interests. So like a club if you're in school, if you're at work, if there's like a work meetup sort of thing that's there. But if you're at work, I think that that's a good enough reason to kind of be like, hey, I'm grabbing coffee, you want to come with? And you can chat about work, and you can also use that as a way to learn about their interests if you don't already know it. So figuring out a way to make the interaction natural, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, think of yourself, like, how would you like to be approached, right? It's kind of off-putting if someone, or think of it this way, you're an introverted person, right? Like, we're introverted, we're shy. It can be kind of scary if someone just kind of like suddenly like starts talking to you about something like really random, and you're just like, what do you want from me? But if you go with it with the sense of like, hey, I heard you're interested in this, or hey, do you happen to like this? I'm watching this show and I just want to talk about it with somebody, for example. Like, I did that to a friend once. I was watching Korean dramas, and like nobody I knew watched Korean dramas. So I literally had this friend. I was like, "Hey, do you happen to watch Korean dramas?" And I was like, I need to talk about this with somebody. And they were like, "Oh, no." And I was like, "Oh, never mind then." So that's something you can think about too, is how can I go about this in a way that feels natural? Maybe what I did with the dramas is a little more dramatic, but that's one way to go. So I hope that that's like kind of a good context. Lawrence, is there like a specific kind of thing that you're struggling with approaching other people? Like, is there like something, do you feel like you're not going to say the right thing, or you feel like you don't have something to say? Is that what it is? Because I think like with some of my other friends that are introverted, for me, their struggle is that they don't know what to say. They're like, what do I even say? Like, I don't have anything to say. And I think that that's one of those things where you can prepare that in advance. So you have someone you want to talk about or talk to, and think about like, if, you know, try to maybe like politely observe them for a couple of days and see what they like, and then plan the way you want to approach them, or plan like what you want to ask them about. You know, maybe like Google it a little bit, right? That's a good way to like approach them. Yeah. I think of this also when I met some of my best friends. I met them through like things that we just happened to like together. So I met a few friends through Apex. I met Jay, for example, through mixing. I met Shabir through content creation. So you meet people through your interests, and those are the kinds of friendships and things that last longer. So from a friendship context itself, I think even if you're just trying to make friends with people, finding a common ground is really important. I feel like my hobbies likes are a rarity in my environment. You know, someone else might be feeling that way too. Like they might feel like, oh, nobody likes this. I like this, but nobody else likes it. So I think it's really difficult for sure. I think it can be really scary, but bringing it up in a really simple way, like being like, hey, do you happen to know this? Or have you heard of this thing? Is a good way to start too. It definitely helps if you've already talked to them before, even a little bit. Like maybe you've only talked to them once or twice, you said hi, but you haven't really talked beyond that. This can really help. Being otaku and all, the majority in my environment is mostly TV, drama, gossip, and sports. Ah, I see. Is there any place in your environment that has like a meetup for people who like anime or manga and things like that? Like a meetup group or like some kind of group that's available to talk about that? I think that would be the best way to go, honestly. Like, is there anything in your area that has that? That would be the way to go. Yeah, also, hold on, let me really quick. Thank you so much, Zerpocalypse. Happy Valentine's Day. Some chocolate for you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a member, Zerpocalypse. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah. So Zerpocalypse is saying, if you can get someone to talk about their hobbies, that can be a good icebreaker. If someone is passionate about something, it can be easier for them to talk about it freely. Exactly. Like, I think even us, those of us who are introverted, we feel really excited when talking about something we enjoy, right? I think that that's a big one, right, Lawrence? No, the meetups in the big cities take like for 3 to 4 hours just to travel. Oh, that's really tough. Yeah, that's a really tough one to kind of go at. Going to cons. Yeah, going to cons is great to meet friends, meet people. I wish there was a way, like maybe to meet people. Have you ever used like Meetup or like a website? Sometimes there'll be like local organizations or like local, what is it, groups for people who enjoy certain hobbies. I think, you know, if you can't go 3 to 4 hours away to a bigger city, maybe there's like a small group meetup sort of thing in your city, in your area. That's one way. The other is to connect with people online. That's like a really good one. But the downside of that is that, you know, if you're looking for a more in-person relationship, that's really difficult, right? If it's online. Yeah. Honestly, if I have time, I'd actually go to cons and enjoy everything it has to offer. Yeah, you really have to make time for it, and it's really difficult. I understand. And there's so many people there too, so it can be really difficult to kind of, you know, everybody's there with their friends and friend groups, so it can be hard to kind of come in and be like, hi, like, can I join this conversation? Like, it can be kind of hard, isn't it? I understand, but I'm sure, you know, like, I'm sure there's at least some group in your area that it has to be there. Wither, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you so much for contributing to the Choco Fund. Thank you. I have to leave now. Take care. Thanks, Wither. I hope you feel better. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, Lawrence, I think that's one thing I'd want a more face-to-face interaction because it feels more meaningful to me. Yeah, I get it. I'm the kind of person that like my really close, well, no, I don't know. some of my really close, I guess my 3 really close friends I know in person, so that makes a big difference for me. It's difficult. That's a really tough one, especially if you're in a smaller city. I don't know exactly if I have good advice for that, except maybe, okay, this is like one other option, and this one's kind of difficult, but can you make someone interested in what you like? Is that possible? Like, in the people around you, is there someone you know who you've talked to briefly or who you think might be interested in anime or manga if they had the chance? That might be the kind of person you got to start with. Get someone interested, get someone hooked. Like, you know, be like, hey, I know like some people say comics are not for, like, you know, I guess at least in certain countries, sometimes people think of comics as more for children, not really for adults. And that can be really difficult. But if you maybe, Negi, welcome to the dungeon, thank you. But if you maybe kind of put it in the sense of like, hey, like I heard you really like TV shows that have to do with this. Have you ever read like this comic? It's really popular and it kind of is the same topic. I know it's not for you, but I'm sure you'll like this. You can't say that I know it's not for you part though. You can't say that part. You have to put it in the context of like, hey, I know you like this. Have you ever seen this? Yeah. If anyone can be interested if you show them the right thing. Exactly. I remember someone saying, you don't like to read. It's not that you don't like to read, you just haven't found the right book. You have to find the right book. If I had all I could read was history, I'd hate reading. I don't really like reading history, but I really love reading fantasy, and having to finding the right book is important. So maybe that's one way to go about it. But yeah, I'm sorry if that's not the best advice, but that's kind of a really, I think that's the closest you can get if you don't already have someone in your kind of friend group or around you who's interested in that, is to kind of find the person you think could be interested and make them interested. And be like, you have to be interested because I made you. That's the only other option, I think, unfortunately. But I hope that helps. I've tried using Violet Evergarden as a good starting point. Yeah. If there's someone you like who's really interested in that kind of like, the themes that are in Violet Evergarden, that could be a really good one. If you like someone who's really into like fantasy action, maybe Jujutsu Kaisen or something along those lines. So yeah, I think that's a perfect way to go about it. But thanks for the question, Lawrence. I hope that this kind of helped answer it, but I get it. I think, especially for us introverts, having a question we start with is really important and really helps you get there. So yeah, okay, let's go to the next question. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if that went how you hoped it would go. But yeah, I hope you find friends. I hope you can make friends and find people that kind of you connect with and that share your interests, or at least who might potentially share your interests. Okay, so next one. So this question is by Foss. Foss, I saw you're at school. Are you at school again, Foss? Hi, Ro, I'm at school. Sounds about right. Is it Foss if Foss is not at school? I made my question in general, so I was just gonna have a good insight. I'm glad. I hope it was helpful. But I think the biggest one is finding common ground. Yes. So Foss asked, what are the best chocolate flavors for Valentine's Day? It's for myself, not for anyone else. Well, what do you like, Foss? Like, it depends on what you enjoy. It depends on what you like to eat. I know I love hazelnut. I recommend hazelnut. Hazelnut flavors are amazing. Milka is yummy. Depends on where you live too, like what you have access to chocolate-wise. But yeah, hazelnut flavor. That's my favorite. I love hazelnut. I love any kind of. I love most chocolate though. Yeah. Foster saying D&D, get people to play D&D. That is one way to go. Also Fang, hello, welcome back, and Felicity, Fellas. How are you? It's nice to see you. But yeah, I think that's a good one. Does ube count as chocolate? But I love white chocolate. Well, is there an ube flavored chocolate? Ube is not chocolate. Ube is fruit, right? Isn't ube fruit like not even fruit? Ube's not even fruit. Ube's like what is it? Isn't ube like a root vegetable? Coconut chocolate sucks. I hard agree with you, Magic, actually. I love coconut, but I don't like coconut chocolate. Ube is yam. Yeah, so wait, is yam a fruit or a vegetable? Is yam a fruit or a vegetable? Bro. Angry Bakanawa, hello. Goku, hello. Sorry, guys. I might not be saying hi to everybody as they're coming in, but welcome. I'm responding to questions first. Bye, my sweet piano. See you later. But yeah. Yesn't. Yam is a starch. Is that a sugar? Well, technically starch is a sugar, isn't it? Oh, now I don't know. But here's what I say, Foss, to your question. You should eat No chocolate because you should give it to me. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. On this one special day, I will let you have one piece of chocolate, and you may have ube white chocolate if it exists. I'm sure it exists somewhere. Isn't there like ube ice cream? Yam is yam. Morgan is putting it straight. Yam is yam. Yesn't. So there you go. Have your yam potato. Hey, listen, if you can have ube ice cream, you can have ube, what is it? Ube chocolate. I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's a real thing. Okay, noted, bro. I got you, Foss. You can eat the ube choco. If you find ube choco, please tell me where you got ube choco because I want ube choco. I gave choco to my mom instead of you. It's okay, I forgive it because I love my mama too, so I forgive it. I forgive it. I forgive you. I forgive you, Lawrence. How dare you? I forgive you. I forgive you. Especially from Blue Seal over in Japan. I haven't had Blue Seal. What's that? That's new. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, Foss, I hope that answers your question. I hope you get some yummy ube ice cream and definitely you share it with me, right? You share it with me, right? Let's go to the next question. Next question is by Aaron, actually. Let me pull it up. Okay. Here is Aaron's question. I'm gonna make it a little small so it fits on the screen. So Aaron's question, I know it's really tiny on your guys' screen, isn't it? I'm sorry. Here, I'll just make it big like this so you can see it. How does one such simple creature as I identify what a woman finds interest in when the woman cannot communicate properly? Can't just say it straightforwardly. Also, Choco Tax plus V-Day Choco for you. Thank you, Aaron. You guys can't see the little Choco symbols, but it's there. So Aaron, that's a tough one. So the person that you're interested in and you want to know what their interests are has a hard time communicating with you. Is there a certain way they like to communicate? So I'm a very verbal communicator, as you guys see. I like to chat and talk, and that's how I share what I'm interested in and stuff like that. But not everybody's like that. Some people are better at typing. Some people are more comfortable communicating their interests in a different form. So I think the first question I'd ask is the person you're interested in able to maybe more comfortably share their interests in a different form, like text, something like that? Maybe by email, maybe by text message, by Discord, by Twitter message, something like that. That might be a good way. Either mixed signals or beats around the bush. Okay, so here's where I might say something that other people might not agree with. Also, Akatsuki, hello, welcome. Here is not very good at holding or contributing to conversations. That's really tough. I know somebody like that. I think the first thing is, if they're not direct, that's okay. You can be direct. You can be really straightforward and say, hey, I know this might be really straightforward and it might be a little bit sudden, but are you perhaps interested in me? Or you can, if you're comfortable asking, if you're okay doing that, and it might put them on the spot a little bit, but you're not gonna get very far if it's mixed signals. And if that feels uncomfortable to you, I think it's very valid to be like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is how I'm seeing this. Is that how you feel? Is that what you're doing? Am I misunderstanding? If I am, I apologize. And obviously I'll leave you alone or whatever. But if they're struggling to share, it might help if you can kind of just very clearly be like, hi, hello. Are you by chance interested in moi? Except not like that because that's kind of weird. But you know what I mean? Something a little more direct from you if they're feeling like they can't be as direct. That's not successful. Oh no. That's really tough. I think, if you've been direct, okay, here's kind of the next thing. If you've been direct and they haven't, I think it's to kind of decide how comfortable you are with not being sure about how they feel. Because I think otherwise, it's you just kind of can't really go forward with that, right? What do you do? I'm not really sure. Yeah. Bye, Roro. I need to go to bed since it's 10:25 p.m. Sleep well, Fang. Oh my gosh, only a few hours of sleep. 4 hours of sleep. I hope you rest well. Sleep well. Bye. Have a good Valentine's Day tomorrow. Bye, Fang. But yeah, that's really, really, really difficult. I don't know. That's tough. I don't know, Aaron, to be honest. Yeah, I genuinely do not know. I don't know how you handle that. I would say that, you can just, you have to just decide whether or not, no. I was gonna say, you can just decide whether or not you're okay with it. I think is this someone you just want to be friends with, or is this someone that you want to have like a more robust relationship with? Because I think that makes a difference. If it's just a friend, maybe it's easier to like put up with. Put up with is kind of a rude way of saying it, but it's easier to put up with this, right? Like you can be like, okay, there's someone who's a little more shy, a little more wishy-washy. It's fine. But if this is someone you want to have a relationship with, I think later on you might find it really difficult to not be able to have a proper conversation or feel like you can't communicate with them effectively. So that might be something to think about. Is that something you want to work with them on? And are they willing to change that aspect? Because I think communication is just so important that it's really hard to compromise there. Yeah, it's just a common quality to define. So you just tend to be interested in people who are introverted and can't, what is it? Not even introverted. That's not even the right term for this, because I'm introverted and I can still talk a lot. I think that's not as okay. So you're interested in people who tend to not be as comfortable communicating their feelings. I see. Okay, that's tough. That's an uphill battle, bro. I don't know. For me, it's like, that's really important. So I think for me, my first thought is to be as direct as I can while still, being polite and giving them wiggle room to kind of not feel put on the spot. Because I don't want to make anybody feel really put on the spot. But having said that, at some point, like, I can't keep being in limbo. So I think for me, that would make it really difficult. If I felt like I couldn't communicate with them, I don't think I would really pursue that personally. I think that would be difficult for me. But I think, honestly, the only other thing I can think of is to keep trying, is to keep kind of having those direct conversations with them until they're kind of used to it and are willing to engage with it. That's the only other way I can think of. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. That's tough. You realize my struggles? Oh, bro, don't even get me started on friends who are like that. Like, sometimes I think it's fine, but other times I think my relationships with some of my friends that are like that, it's just very more, like, it's more tenuous. Is that the right word? Like, it's a little more, it's not as strong a relationship because I feel like I can be as straightforward as possible, but if they don't tell me how they're feeling, or if they're not comfortable even giving me like some hints about how they're doing, I can't really do much with that. There's no communication there. So like, how can I can just be like a supportive friend, but I can't really be a friend that can engage with that person. That can be really tough. Yeah, no, that's tough. I get you. So that's my big one. Rocchi, I saw your question. I will get to it in order. I will get to it soon. Yeah. So that's my advice, Aaron. I'm not sure how helpful that is, but I think it's you either keep at it or you pull back and you're like, okay, I'm not engaging with this. I don't really have, or you can even put the ball in their court and say like, and this is what I would do, honestly. I'd say like, hey, listen, like, I'm interested in you and I'd love to like know more about you. However, like, I have a really hard time engaging if we can't really have a conversation. So I'm just going to let you know this is how I feel, and that I think I might slow down in my approach because I feel that maybe you can come to me when you're feeling more comfortable or something like that. So that you put the ball in their court and kind of put it on them to interact with you. So yeah, I think that's what I got for you, Aaron. I hope that that's helpful. I hope that gives you some start. But that's a tough one to have. Yeah, that's a really tough one to have. Someone you can't communicate with, I think, is someone you have to really think about if you're going to think of something long term, because communication, I think, is like such a foundation to any relationship, right? Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, next question is from someone. I appreciate it. Good to know I'm not the only one acknowledging the struggle bus. Yeah, no, you're not the only one. I get it. There are all sorts of personalities in the world. It can be tough. Yeah, so this one question was from someone anonymous, but they said, I keep falling in love with women on Discord. What do, sir? What do, ma'am? I don't know. This is gonna sound like really, really like direct, but maybe you gotta close Discord. You gotta close Discord. If that's bad, if you feel like there's no chance I can meet this Discord person in real life, like if you're close enough to somebody on Discord that you know their real name, you guys know each other, you trust each other, and when I say trust, I mean like please be really careful on the internet, right? I don't know your age, obviously, but like please be really thoughtful when you share personal information with someone on Discord, right? But let's say, you're comfortable with them, you feel like you know enough about each other to be able to share information on a personal level like this. In that case, I guess is to ask, like, is it possible to meet this person in person? And I will say, like, I have met some of my Discord friends in real life, like in 3D form. They have seen me in my human form, and somehow they're still my friends, so it worked out. They weren't like, oh my gosh, Roro in human form, get out of here. No, at least, so, you know, you might meet like some really great people in person. Sometimes I know there are Discord meetup groups for Discord groups that want to meet up IRL, so there's that. But that's just something that I would really, really think about. So having said that, your first option is potentially to meet this person or these people in person at some point and make those online friendships real friendships. And not to say online friendships are not real friendships, but in your case, right, you're talking about a romantic relationship. That's something that you probably want to know that person a little more in person eventually at some point. If not that though, if you're like, I can never meet any of these Discord people IRL, like never, ever, 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 for either your own safety or because you just don't feel comfortable, then I would tell you to not be on Discord. If all the time you spend interacting with people on Discord is time you're not spending interacting with people IRL, right? And when I say IRL, I mean people you know, people who you have a name and a face to and who you can interact with. Anytime you're spending your time online is time you're obviously not spending somewhere else, and that's totally okay, right? Like, I love being online, for example. I'm okay not spending as much time with real human beings. Who does that? But having said that, if I want to maintain some kind of relationship with in-person friendships, in-person relationships with people who are potentially not online, I have to go out. I have to close Discord. I have to leave my house, my humble abode, and go interact with the world, which is very scary sometimes, but somehow we do it every day. So that's something that I would say, is that it's a really tough situation. Is to really think about, is this person that I'm interested in on Discord someone I can meet in person? If not, you know, like finding friends you can make offline in real life, that's really important. I think the one other thing I can say is that perhaps thinking about why you're interested in this person in Discord and what about them you're interested in, and ask yourself, like, are you looking for a long-term relationship? Because, you know, for whatever relationship, if it's just a friendship or something, or if it's just like a fun kind of relationship, you can do that all online and it's not a big deal. But if your long-term goal in life is to like actually be with someone in person, I don't know how much of a value there is to continuing an online relationship for years and years and never meeting that person or something like that, right? Yeah, long-distance relationship. Okay, here's the most personal thing I'll ever admit. I've been in a long-distance relationship, and it can be really hard. So that's also something you have to think about, right? Think about, like, that can be really, really tough. It's not for everybody, and it can be really hard. So you have to really think about if you're okay with an LDR and if an LDR is right for you. And even with LDRs, like, I think most people I know who are in long distance relationships are in relationships with people that they've met in person before. So that's really important too, is to think about, like, think of it this way. If you just, and this is different for each person, and this is where I think a lot of people's values will kind of separate. But if I'm the kind of person, for example, who doesn't date for the sake of dating, if I was dating someone, I'm thinking more long term, right? But there are some people who are happy to kind of date for just, you know, having fun, dating, having a partner, not really looking at anything long term. And if that's the case, maybe Discord is fine for you. You know, potentially it could be okay. For me personally, like, I know I'm not interested in like those kinds of relationships. I'm someone who's very like invested when I'm dating someone. So for me, it has to be like a more long-term kind of thought process. And I could never do that on Discord, if that makes sense. Because for me, it's like, okay, I only know this person online. I've never met them in person. Or if I met them in person, like, we'll never kind of be in the same city or ever. It's like, it's never going to progress beyond this. So why am I here? Why am I spending my time here? That's how I feel. So that's something you want to think about, is what kind of relationship you're looking for too. It really depends on, do you want something long-term? Do you want something short-term? If it's short-term, you can have a short-term Discord relationship, I guess, right? But if it's something long-term, I think you're going to find it really difficult to maintain relationships with someone who wouldn't be willing to meet you in person. Yeah, but for what it's worth, if you do decide to meet someone in person, please be careful, please be thoughtful, please do it maybe in a public place. Please mind your safety and take care of yourself. definitely please let someone in that you know in your life know that you're gonna go meet up with someone you've never met before. Maybe even consider video chatting them before you meet them in real life. Things like that. Please please exercise internet safety. But that's my advice. That's my advice. I hope that is helpful, dear anonymous human. Yes, Ark. Roro, women are scary. They're very scary. People are scary. You humans are hella scary. Like, there are some days I live in the human world and I don't go outside, and I'm like, humans are horrified. Humans. Why am I here? Take me back to fairy realm. I'm kidding. It's fine. Humans are just very different. But I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. I know it's a difficult one. I know nowadays more and more people are on the internet. You meet people online that you connect with, that you feel like you never meet people like this in your real life. Like, for example, finding people who love anime. They're going to be online a lot of times. You won't see them in person. And you're like, why can't I meet someone who loves anime in real life? Or who loves, like, I don't know, morning musume or something in real life or something. And unfortunately, that's how it is. And sometimes the best thing you can do is maintain strong online friendships. And if you want to take them further, think about what that looks like for you in your life, whether that is long-term and you try to meet them. You fly over to meet them, or they fly over to meet you, or travel, or whatever. Or it's something that you do short-term and are okay with that. Yeah, you got to know yourself. It's really tough. Okay, so this next question, I think, is by Jury. Jury, you asked me, dear our benevolent Roro-sama, please give us advice on how to live our life to the bestest, how to survive when we are on our lowest point, and how to cherish our small achievements. Here's some taco tax in advance. Jury, thank you so much for this wonderful question. And honestly, I saw your question yesterday, and I had to think so much about it. Like, I thought for so long after you said this, because I feel like I actually really struggle with this, to be honest. I sometimes get to a really low point and I really, really struggle, and I have a really hard time getting out of it. And it's something that I think honestly, it's probably one of my worst personality traits, is that sometimes I get really low and I have a hard time getting out of it. So honestly, I really, really, really respect that, you're thinking about that. And honestly, if you find an answer, please tell me, because I want to know. Here's what I'm doing and I'm trying to do to help feel better on my own. Like, in my own situation, I also really, like I said, struggle when I get to a low point, and it can take me days and weeks to get out of it. So the first thing I'll give is like your first question, how to live our life to the bestest. That's a tough one. I think one of the things I kind of decided as I've grown a little bit older is that I don't want to live with regrets. So, for example, I started my channel because you guys know, I've told you guys a little bit about my academic background, but I grew up spending a lot of time studying. Of course, I goofed off and played and watched anime and stuff. Oh, sorry, Rocchi. Good night, Rocchi, and morning. Adios, love the stream. Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't get to your question while you were here, but I promise I will cover your question. So if you get a chance to watch the VOD later with your husband, I hope it's a good answer for your question then. But yeah, catch you later, Rocchi. Have a good one. So where was I? Oh yeah, so what I was saying is that I think as I got more and more busy in my life, I started to feel more regret that I didn't get to use the time I had in a way that would make me happy. So for example, I love singing, but somehow I used to always find excuses for not practicing music. Or I really love doing covers, but I always used to feel really shy. Like, what if people hate my voice and nobody likes it? Blah, 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 blah. And then I just didn't want to live with that regret anymore. So I started just doing the things I wanted to do. And sometimes it means that it kind of changed my personality, to be honest. I used to be very work-focused, school-focused, and I started maybe changing a little bit how I feel about the priorities in my life. And so now I think for me, living your life to the bestest can be different for each person. But for me, it kind of meant that I work really hard at the things I care about, even if they're not the things that society necessarily says are things I should work hard at. Does that make sense? So for example, working really hard at my job, of course, I do work hard at my job. But to be honest, some of my coworkers work way harder than me, because for them, their job is their life. They really either love the job, or the job is really important to them, or they don't really maybe have as many hobbies, or their hobbies are not things that are as important to them. And that's totally valid. That's totally fine. But for me personally, I get joy in my life by being able to stream, by being able to sing, by being able to use my free time to do the things I love. And if that means that I work in a different way from my coworkers, even if maybe other people aren't appreciative of that, or they feel like, oh, rocchi, like the way she works is not how I like people working, and they might complain at me a little about it, I just have learned to not care. And I don't mean in the sense, I don't try to give my coworkers extra work or anything. I never want to be a burden to my coworkers. But for me, it does mean that sometimes I'm not the model employee, and I'm okay with that. In school, sometimes it meant that before I used to kind of be at the top of my class, and I was okay not being at the top of my class anymore. So for me, I felt like I had lived so much of my life, and it had served me well, and it was really important, but it also felt like I think I would always regret not caring about the things I care about because I had excuses for why I couldn't care about it. So I told myself, I don't want to live with excuses anymore. I'm going to find balance for myself, and sometimes that means sacrificing in places where other people feel like you shouldn't sacrifice, but I'm willing to do that, I think, and that's my first thought, is to think about what does living your life to the fullest or bestest mean, and what do you need to do to kind of get there. So that's the first one. How to survive when you're at your lowest point, honestly, that's really hard for me. I don't know. I was, to be honest, I was at a really low point these last few days with work and feeling like I couldn't last in my job. As you guys know, I started a new job. It's really intense. It's very draining, and I feel very tired after my job every time I work, and it really messed with my mood because you'll see my content isn't as frequent. I stream frequently, but to me streaming is a lot less effort than content creation in the context of making a video or making a new short that I upload to TikTok or Instagram. So you'll notice, I think, kind of on your own when I'm at a low point because my content slows down because I just don't have energy. But for me, what I am trying to do is to figure out what I can do to address what's getting me down, and figuring out how I can address that in general. I just repeated myself twice, didn't I? Figuring out what's getting me down, and then figuring out how I can fix it. And then if I can't fix it, what can I change? So for some people, and this is a really tough one, and it's not possible for everybody, and I think we can be really lucky if we can do this, but for some people that might be that you need to find a new job, right? Or for some people that might mean that you take on less responsibility at your work. For some people that might mean that you still do a lot of work, but you cut out time. I plan time sometimes in my day to not work. So for example, I could stream at the end of the day after my work day, but the first problem with that is I'm really tired. And I might find a reason not to stream because I'm so tired, I just want to go to bed, right? That's my first one. The other reason is that it's not a good time zone for me stream-wise with my viewership, and it matters to me that I can connect with my viewers. That's important to me. So I find that this time zone, streaming around this time in my day, is good for both of those, right? It allows me to connect with all of you, and it's a time when I'm still a little bit energized. I'm not tired from work. I've done about 4.5 hours of work today already. I have another 4.5 hours of work to go today, but I'll do that after the stream. But I feel energized because I got to do what I love. I got to stream, right? So for me, that's how I compromised, for example, when I was feeling really low. And the other thing I compromised is to change how I look at my work and how I work during the day. It kind of honestly means that sometimes I push back on people's deadlines to me. So sometimes someone will be like, Roro, can you do this and give it to me by X? And I'll be like, hey, I can definitely do it, but I will give it to you by Y. Is that okay? And if they say no, I'll say, well, here's what, I'll do what I can do, but I'm not going to kill myself over it. They wanted a 4 o'clock deadline. Well, I need until 9 o'clock to do it. It's not urgent. It's not like a client deadline or something, or some urgent deadline. I'll be like, hey, look, I can do it by X. I'm really swamped. I have other things I really need to do. I have an appointment. My appointment being the stream. I have an appointment. I will do the work. I can get you something by 4 o'clock, but it might not be what you want. So what I do sometimes is I'll send them something at 4, and then I'll say, hey, this is what I got to do, but I know I can do a little bit more. If you're okay with it, I can do a little more, and I can give you something at 9. So I want to say yes, I want to help out my coworkers, but I can't help them out if I'm constantly miserable and dying. So I push back. And that was really difficult for me because growing up, I was someone who always said yes. I never, I complained, of course, like, but I still did it. And I still like stayed up all night doing it. Now I'm like, no, screw that. I'm not going to live like that anymore. I push back. I want to say yes to things. I want to do good work. That's the other thing. If I say yes to 4 and then I give them something that's super like, in Japanese you say chutohampa, like something that's really like kind of half-assed, they're not gonna like me very much either way. So I'd rather tell them, here's what I can do for you by 4, but better I can give you something better by 9 instead. So negotiate nicely, negotiate politely, and that's something you can do. That's another example. But for me, honestly, Jury, lowest point's a tough one. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still trying. I'm trying to be more positive. I'm trying to figure out solutions. And honestly, I'm really bad at it. It's like I said, one of my worst, weakest points. And it's something that I find really, really difficult, to be honest. So yeah, if you figure out the way, please let me know. But I think at least for me, when I'm struggling, planning and figuring out how I'm going to address my struggle is how I help myself. So yeah, and then your last thing, how to cherish our small achievements. You know what? Honestly, celebrate them. Celebrate the small things. Like, and I'm the kind of person who doesn't like participation awards. I think participation awards are BS, to be honest. And I'm gonna put that out there. This is gonna be my take that's gonna get me yeeted off the internet. I hate participation awards. Those are dumb. Okay, put that aside. When you feel like you worked hard, even for something that someone else might be like, oh, that's so small, but you worked really hard for it, reward yourself. Go have a nice bath. Go eat yummy food. Go tell someone about it. Like, I call my mom and I'm like, Mama, I did this. I had someone at my work tell me my work was fantastic. And so I was so excited that moment, because I've been having such a hard time at my job. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, someone told me I did a good job. I feel so happy. And it's not a big deal. But that can be really, really, really important, is to celebrate for yourself, right? So I think that those smaller achievements, you should celebrate them. Yeah, head pats, Jury, head pats for you. You can share that achievement with me on stream. Like, if we're doing a chat stream and you want to be like, hey, bro, guess what I did? I did this. I succeeded. Obviously not derailing the entire conversation that we're having on stream, but you want to give me a quick message, I will celebrate with you. Share it with your friends. Share it with somebody. Celebrate the things that you've worked hard at, and don't feel like it's small just because someone else says it's small, right? I think that's important. And the reward doesn't have to be something really expensive or really fancy. It could be that you give yourself some time to read your favorite manga or watch a TV show. So for me, I reward myself on Mondays and Tuesdays because my favorite drama comes out on Mondays and Tuesdays. I couldn't watch it yesterday because I was really busy, but today I told myself, after I finish my work, some of my early deadlines, I'ma eat yummy food and watch my drama. That's exciting for me. That's my little reward for me today. So that's, I think, something really important, is to reward yourself in small ways, and use that to motivate yourself too. And also being honest with yourself. The small achievement, did you work hard for it? Then it's very important to celebrate it. But if you feel like, okay, it's not that big a deal, I think, I could have worked harder, I could have done better, then maybe think, okay, the next time when I achieve this, I'm gonna celebrate it. So that's really important. I hope that's helpful, Jury. I hope that cheers you on. If there was a small achievement recently, congratulations. Doug, hello guys. This is my friend Doug. They're wonderful. Doug, how are you? Thank you so much for the raid. How's it going? What were you streaming? What were you doing? I didn't actually open and check what was going on with my friend's streams today, unfortunately, yet. But I hope you're doing well. Hello, hey Doug, hey Amelia, hello May, welcome. How's it going? May, thank you for the follow. Thank you. I'm doing an advice stream, and one of my wonderful viewers, Jury, asked a really, really good question, and a really tough question, Jury. Really tough question, and I hope I answered it as much as I could. But yeah, Amelia, no worries. I know you're busy. No worries. I got you. No worries. I got you. Look at the little pasta. I got you. No worries. But yeah, so Jury asked this really important question. And, honestly, my answer was that I only know what I'm trying, but I struggle with this all the time. I mean, Duck knows. I think Duck caught me yesterday when I was at a pretty low point, and I was chatting in our Discord, and I was saying hey, I was really struggling and I don't know what to do, and I hate that I'm complaining all the time recently to my friends, and I feel really bad about that. I want to fix, one of the things I want to fix, you guys know I'm really careful about not complaining on stream. Not complaining because I feel like during my stream time, I want to be the most positive person I can be. But honestly, my poor friends and people that are close to me, you know, put up with some of my complaining and things, and I don't want them to have to, and that's something I'm trying to change about myself. Yeah, that's my life. That's one of my goals for this year, is to work on how I perceive the things that I'm struggling with and not make them burdens for other people around me. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for the pat pats, Duck. Your guys' pat pats mean so much. For those of you on YouTube, please check out my friend the Duck. They're on here on Twitch, so there's a shout out here on Twitch for them. But please come check them out. If you have a Twitch account, come say hi. Duck, I am simul streaming, so I have a lot of viewers on YouTube over here who aren't on Twitch, but I know many of them say hi. So yeah. But thanks so much, Duck. I hope you're having a good one. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. Happy Valentine's Day. If you can spell applesauce with just A's, you can call it You saw my short, Rustin. Thanks. Pat, thanks, Bep. But yeah, thanks so much, Alda. I mean, thanks so much, Duck. I really appreciate it. Go check out my friend Duck. Go check them out. Yeah, Ray Clausa, hello, welcome. Hi, hello. But yeah, Jury, I hope this answers your question. I hope this is a really good question. This is a really, really tough question. This is a really tough question, and I hope when you find the answer, you let me know so that I can figure it out too. If you find the secret to being positive in your life all the time, please tell me, because I too would like to know that secret. Yes, I too would like to know it. And thanks for the cheer, Rustin. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, let's go to the next question. I hope this was helpful, Jury. Like, let me know if you want to clarify anything, but I hope this was helpful. Let's go to the next question. And this was Rachi's question. Unfortunately, Rachi couldn't stay, but we'll put their question in and we'll go over them. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. I finally caught one of your Twitch streams. I'm so glad you were able to catch it. It's so great to see you. Welcome. Thanks for checking out my content. I really appreciate it. So today, for those of you who are joining just now, I'm doing like a question answer session for Valentine's Day, relationship advice, life advice. I do these once in a while, and I hope that I give good advice, but I always love hearing how those of you in the audience feel about some of these advices. Good friends are a good thing to have in life. They are. Friends that are willing to cheer you on even when you're at your low is really important. But I think that I'm at a point where I have over-relied on those friendships, and I want to be able to rely on myself more. So I think I'm working to be better. I hope we all are, right? So Rachi asked, what should I do for my husband on Valentine's Day? By the way, I'm married. Well, congrats on being married. I don't know how long, but congrats on your marriage. This is what I think. Okay, so I obviously, well, I'm not married, but I think for me, if my partner did something for me that I was struggling with, for example, let's say I just chores, right? Let's say my partner has a bit more time than me and I'm struggling with getting some chores done, like laundry, and they did that for me, that would mean so much. Like taking on some of the battles that I have in my day-to-day life that aren't that big a deal, but that somehow I just can't get to. I think that makes a big difference. So for me, for example, guys, I need to do my laundry. Tsundere, yandere, do your laundry. Anyway, so I haven't done my laundry. And if I had a partner who would just do my laundry, I'd be like, yeah, peace out, I love you so much. So that's something that I think if I had a partner, that would be really, really, really great, right? It can be something else simple, like maybe you plan dinner and something that they really enjoy eating. For example, you know, I don't know, let's say your partner really loves having lasagna. I know lasagna is not the easiest thing to make, but not the hardest thing either. So maybe you make a special lasagna dinner, or you take them to one of their favorite restaurants. If, you know, cooking isn't your thing or you don't have time to cook, like you can take them to their favorite restaurant. So that's a really good one. Finding a way to celebrate them with something they like, I think, is how I think of Valentine's Day. It doesn't have to be just chocolate. For me, I love chocolate, but I know for sure that sometimes you can show how much you love someone. Like, for example, my mom, I can give you an example. My mom works really hard and she's been having really rough days at the office. I'm not home to be able to spend time with her, unfortunately. You know, I don't live with my parents, but if I was, I think today I would have liked to have done the dishes and like cleaned the house and also left her a little bit of chocolate as a present and like, you know, supported my mom by being a good daughter. I think that that's how I would have liked to show my love to my mom, right? So I think, showing your love to your partner in the way that you feel like your partner appreciates but hasn't really told you. So, my mom won't say like, hey, Roro, do the dishes. Like, she didn't say that. But I know that that's something that's on her to-do list that she hasn't had a chance to get around to, and I can help her out. So if there's something that your partner kind of needs but hasn't told you they needed, you helping out in that way can be amazing. Right? Brighten someone's day. Exactly. Something small, something thoughtful. Those are the kinds of things I think people really appreciate. It doesn't have to be a physical gift. It doesn't have to be like a lot of money, right? It's the thoughtfulness I think that can really matter. And if let's say money is difficult, and it is difficult, I know, for a lot of people, right? It's something really small can be really thoughtful too. Something you do, your actions can be really, really wonderful. So I think that that's something to think about. Yeah. Right, by the way, I am here right now. Should I plan to go to a Japanese restaurant, or should I make him some tamales and tacos? Whichever he likes better. Whichever he likes better. If he likes your tamales and tacos better, I mean, if you have the time, right? If you have the time, if you can do that, I think you should. But if, they prefer Japanese food and that's something that they would appreciate more and enjoy more, do that. Or, maybe you guys could do it together. Like maybe spending time together making tamales could be really, really fun. Spending time together can be a wonderful gift, right? Maybe you guys don't cook dinner together very often, and today you do. That could be really wonderful. So I think that that's something to think about. I hope that answers your question, Rachi. I'm glad you were able to catch it before you had to head out. But I hope that answers your question. Yeah, we're married for 3 years. Congrats on 3 years. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I hope that this is something you guys can do together. Doing something special together, I think, that's what I would wish for. I wish I could, I think, especially, for example, I'm far away from my family. I wish I could see them. I wish I could just spend time with my family and my loved ones. That's what I really, really want today, is to spend time with them. And I think that that's, for example, what I would like. So, we knew each other since middle school. Aw, I love that. That's sweet. So sweet. I get cavities, more cavities than when I eat choco. But I hope that answers your question, Rachi. Rustin, thank you so much. I have a question for you. Is using a pheromone cologne classed as using a chemical weapon? Bro, get out of here with that cologne. I don't know. It depends. I actually don't really like smells because they give me headaches. So I think for me, I'd be like, intruder alert. No. Smelly. So stinky. So I think, I don't know if I would go for that. Okay, next question. Next question is over here. And for those of you who want to ask questions, you can ask them in the link in my YouTube description. I will post the link on Twitch for those of you on Twitch, because I know some of you are not on my YouTube, so no worries. I will post it here, and please feel free to ask a question. I don't know if I'll be able to get to everybody's questions because I got more questions while I was streaming, which is kind of fun. Kind of funny, but maybe I'll go through them a little bit faster. But you can ask your question here. Yes, okay, let's go. I guess I won't have to open up the question answer thing on YouTube because I'm getting them here instead. So, okay, this next question is from Zishan. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Zishan, thank you so much. It's great. I said hi to you earlier today. Thank you for your question. So, Zishan, firstly, happy Valentine's Day, bro. Thank you. I plan to confess to someone I know in the near future. As someone with social anxiety, how can I confess to them, and how can I not fear that rejection that could occur? Thanks for the advice. That is such a tough question. I get it. I understand. First, I think it's awesome that you are thinking about confessing to somebody and thinking about sharing your feelings with somebody. I think that can be really hard in any form, right? Whether you're sharing how much you care about someone or how much you are frustrated with someone or struggling, like being able to share your feelings is a huge first step, and I think that that's fantastic. So first of all, congrats on that. But it is scary, and I don't really think that fear ever goes away, because think of it this way. When you care about something, you care about the result. Think of it like, the first time you went on stage. You're nervous because you want to do well, right? Would you be nervous if you didn't care what happened? Like, who cares if I crash and burn on stage? You wouldn't be nervous, right? You wouldn't care. So why would you, you know what I mean? We are nervous because we care. We're nervous because we care about the result. And we're nervous about things we care about. So with that in mind, I don't know if the nervousness will actually go away. And I think you might find you build yourself up and you're like, I'm fine, I'm not nervous. And then when you start to speak, suddenly you're like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna throw up. right here, right now. But that's how I think it is, honestly. I think taking it slowly and keeping it short can really help. And just kind of note their reaction. So one of the first things you can do, I think, and this is what I would do, is if I'm nervous, I would think about like, am I nervous just because I'm scared to tell them how I feel? But am I nervous because I don't know how they feel? Is there something you can do to figure out how they feel? Like, is it like, have they given you signs that they're maybe interested in you as well? Have they shown lots of care and thoughtfulness? Because the other thing to remember is if the person you're confessing to is a thoughtful person, they'll never make fun of you for confessing, right? Like, I would like to think that mature people won't make fun of someone else for confessing to them. You know, they might not say yes. They might say, oh, you know, thank you for sharing that with me. I'm unfortunately just not really, you know, this is not what I'm looking at our relationship as. This is not what I'm feeling. This is not what I'm really looking for in our relationship. You know, you might get a rejection, but I think that trusting that the person that you're confessing to is someone who is a thoughtful person, I don't think they will ever, or they should never make fun of you. And if they do, well, good riddance. That's a lesson learned. You know, forget that is how I feel. I feel that, you know, you might get rejected. That is how it is, I think. You can't ever be like 100% sure how someone feels unless they've been clear to you or very clear to you. But like Rest in Peace says here, if you never ask, you'll never know. That's the first one. And if the worst they can say is, you know, I'm sorry, that's not how I feel, that's okay, but you were honest with yourself, right? You were honest, you shared how you felt, now you know how they feel, and you can kind of plan your next steps from there. So I will say, it's hard. It's really hard, and especially when you have social anxiety, like it feels like so much harder. It's hard for even someone who's very confident in their lives might find it really hard to confess to someone they care about. So I don't know if I can give you advice for that itself, except to say that it helps to maybe plan a little bit what you want to say. So, you know, think in advance. Like, don't think you have to be really flashy or something like that. Just think of the words you want to share. Like, what are the things you really want them to know? It could be, hi, I'm really interested in you. I'd like to get to know you better. You know, would you be interested in going on a date? Being like a short, simple thing you want them to know. What is it that you want to get out of that conversation? I think that is the first thing. What do you want to tell them? What kind of relationship do you want to go? Do you want to just go on a date with them? Is that the kind of confession you're doing? Or are you saying, hey, I want to be your partner. I want to be your boyfriend or girlfriend or a partner, however you identify. Like, is that what you want? And if that's the case, finding the right words to share that I think is something to think about in advance, and that might help you. And then when thinking about rejection, just know that rejection is really, really normal. I don't think, or let me say, very few people in this world probably have gotten yeses from all the people they've ever confessed to. And if they have, maybe they were really, really fortunate in having been able to tell that this person likes them, or having met someone who has that mutual interest that's very clear to them. That might be really, really, you know, that's a really lucky event. But you'll never know, I think, unless you ask. And so for me, at least, what I can say to your first part with social anxiety and feeling nervous is that won't go away. But the most you can really do is kind of plan for that a little bit and do your best to kind of prep yourself up and be clear about, okay, what's something simple, short that I can say that I don't feel like I'm going to forget. My tongue's not going to get super tied just saying these 4 words. And you know what? Like, maybe to some degree, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. You say it, and you wait for their reaction. And to be honest, that reaction will tell you a lot about that person. You know, there's so many ways you can let someone, you know that you're not interested in them. And there are some ways that I think tell me a lot about that person. Like, if they're really mean about it, if they're really rude about it, if they're really, especially if this is someone who, how do I say it? You're not walking up to some random stranger and confessing to them. Then I think maybe you're gonna get a really rude reaction, and I think that's valid, because like, if some random person approached me and is like, hey, I like you, I'd be like, okay, bye. Like, what the frick, right? But if it's someone that you have at least some sort of like some connection to, where it's not weird of you to be like talking to them, then I think you shouldn't fear their reaction and hope that you learn from their reaction what they feel about you, or that maybe they hadn't thought about that and they need some time. And maybe that is the answer you give. I will tell you, the first time I was ever confessed to from someone I cared about, I told them I needed time to think about it. That I hadn't thought about, like, I of course cared a lot about them and I really liked them, but I needed just a little bit of time to decide if I could be in a relationship. So that's something that, you know, you might get asked to give some time, and you might need to be okay with a little bit of uncertainty for a bit, and that can be really hard. Being uncertain about how someone feels about you is like horrifying, but you learn to deal with that. But yeah, I hope that helps. I know it was kind of everywhere, the advice I gave, but just now I think I know it was a little bit all over the place. But I hope that gives you a little bit of I don't know, a starting point. But I will say, it's normal to be afraid of rejection. Rejection is hard in any context of your life. Being rejected feels awful and crappy, and you feel like absolute crap. And you just, I think, have to remember that you know what, rejection is a part of life. And, assuming that this is someone you have at least some connection with, the way they reject you will tell you a lot about them. Maybe they'll be a really thoughtful friend and say, hey, thanks for sharing. That's not how I feel. Maybe they'll say, thanks for sharing. I like you too. They might say that. It's not even rejection, right? But if they're really mean about it, maybe that's a sign for you that you dodged a bullet, to be honest, right? I hope, Zishan, your confession goes really well. I hope that person is open to receiving it and can give you their honest thoughts and feelings and be thoughtful with how they respond. And I hope overall it's a very good experience in that you learn more about the person that you care about. Yeah. So I hope that that's helpful, Zishan. I hope that gets you started. But I understand it's scary, and I honestly don't think that fear will ever go away, But I hope that, at least to some degree, the person that you're confessing to is someone you trust to be thoughtful about your feelings as well, and to be honest with you. Yeah. Yep. And, also one thing you can say is hey, if you need time to think about it, like if they look really tongue-tied or they look really put on the spot, give them time. Just say, hey, I know it was kind of maybe out of nowhere for you. Maybe that's not what you were expecting. Like, let me know if you need time to think about it. And let me tell you, they will appreciate so much if you care about how they feel too, and that they're not being put on the spot. So that's something to think about as well. Yeah. Jansri, I'm going to buy my own Valentine. That's how you do it. Buy yourself the Choco. I believe. I cheer you on. Yes. Rustin, you learn more from a battle you lose than a battle you win. This can be true. I hope it is a battle that Zishan wins. I hope it's well, winning and losing is not really the right term, I think. But I hope it is a battle that is a good experience for Zishan. Yeah. I think that's how I want to say it. Also, Rustin, thank you so much for subscribing on Twitch. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, I hope that's helpful, Zishan. Yeah, I know a chat probably had some advice there too, but it can be really tough. Yeah. Okay, next one. So this one was Tamoise. Thank you so much, Tamoise, for the question. I'm glad to receive one from you. A girl said she liked me back a few months ago and we went on a few dates, but recently we haven't been talking as much and she left me on scene when I asked her out on Valentine's. Oh no. Thank you. Oh no. That's tough. Okay. So my first thought is, Oshi boy, I gotta go see you. Oshi boy, thanks for sticking around and sharing your thoughts on these questions. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good Valentine's Day. Okay, so Tamoise, this is such a tough one. Here's what I think. I think that there is a communication gap here, right? And I know maybe that sounds like, oh, everything's a communication issue. Well, you know what? I feel like a lot of things are communication issues. I think my advice here is there some way you can talk to her and find out if she's okay? Is there something going on? Maybe she's not in a good place and she's kind of struggling to interact. And then, so that's the first thing you can do. The first thing you can do is say, hey, I'm worried about you. It seems like, we haven't really interacted much. We haven't talked as much. Is everything okay? Start from there. Just be honest. Say, hey, I feel like we haven't talked as much. Are things okay? So let's say you do that and you still get ignored. Give it a little bit of time. And then I think the second thing I would say is, hey, it's really important to me that we communicate and that, we know where we are. If you need space, please just let me know. I'm happy to give you the space. But if she still doesn't respond to that, then I think you can wrap it up. And this is really hard, I think, especially if this is someone you've already been on dates with. But say, hey, I feel like I've tried to reach out and tried to check in on you. I don't know if I can keep doing that. I hope you do. I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well. And, I think that maybe this is not the right relationship for us if it feels like we can't communicate with each other. And wrap it up. I think that's what I would do. Especially if it's not your girlfriend and if it's not someone, well, how do I say it? For some people, if you're dating, that is girlfriend, boyfriend. So with setting or girlfriend, partner, whatever, setting that aside, I think communicating, and if you try to communicate to check in on them to make sure that they're okay, and you try to communicate by telling them how you're feeling, and you try to communicate with them by telling them that you're happy to give them space, that you just want to make sure that they're okay, and they're still not responding, then I think that that person is not willing to communicate with you, and it's better to let it go. And that can be really tough, especially if it's like a longer relationship, but that might be how you have to address it. At least that's what I would do. Again, I don't think my advice is like the right advice necessarily. It's just how I think I would handle the situation. Okay, anyway, I'm off to work. Have a good day at work. Tune in for more wisdom another time. No worries. I hope you get to stop by later. Yeah, have a good one. Drive safe. Get to work safe. Have a good rest of your day. But yeah, Tamwas, I don't know if this is helpful. I don't know if this is exactly what you were looking for, but I think all you can do is 1, check in on them, and 2, let them know how you feel. And 3, give them an option. Say, hey, like not like an ultimatum or something crazy like that, but like an option as in like, hey, I'm happy to give you space. I just want to make sure we're communicating, and if you need that space, I'm happy to wait until you're ready to check in with me. Just please let me know so I know what's going on and what I need to do. And if they're not willing to do that, I don't know if they're someone you want to really waste. I know this is going to sound so mean, but maybe they're not someone you want to waste your time on. Yeah. Ratinas, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. I hope this is helpful, Thomas. I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking for. That's a really tough situation to be, where you're feeling like you're being ghosted. Again, this also depends on the timeline. Recently being like how long is recent, and when she left you on scene. That's kind of tough, especially because it's like a kind of short-term thing, which is Valentine's Day. So you kind of want an answer to that a little bit sooner. But the only thing you can do is, potentially let the Valentine's Day thing go and check in on them. Maybe they're not doing well. Maybe they're in a tough place and they're having a hard time connecting with people. I know I can kind of be like that. I don't necessarily ghost my friends or anything, but I just, try to give it a couple days before I respond. And I let them know, hey, I wasn't in a good place. Like, I'm sorry about that. Like, how are you? I'm checking in now, or something like that. I think that's what I would do. Yeah, that's a really tough one. I hope you get a chance to talk to them soon. But if not, I think you want to think about how important communication might be to you. And if it's pretty important, then maybe it's a difficult one. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's ask. This next question is by who? Dorothy. Dorothy, thank you for the question. Here, let me pull it up. This is an interesting one. So, is it possible to have a great relationship with someone who shares almost nothing in common with you? I can't answer this from experience, honestly. I don't know. I haven't experienced this specific thing. But what I think I can say is that someone who doesn't share anything in common with you can still be supportive of you. And I think that can be enough. So I can give you an example about a friendship, right? So this is not like a relationship, but a friendship thing. I have a friend who really, really loves, and I don't know how to exactly describe it. Let's say they really love this particular, fan base, or they really, really love this particular industry or area. What I can do is when, they want to talk about it, I'm always happy to listen. I don't necessarily have much to contribute, but I ask a lot of questions and I care about it because they care about it. One of my close friends, one of my best friends really cares about this, and I want to hear about it because she cares about it, right? So because my best friend cares about it, I want to be interested enough to listen to her, right? That's how I can support her. That's how I can be a good friend. And I think even though, we have other things in common, but even if we don't have this particular area in common, she can still talk about it with me. Of course, it's not going to be as fun as talking about it with someone who can get as excited about it as someone who's just as interested in it. Like, let's say, for example, it's like this, I don't know, maybe you guys both love Jujutsu Kaisen, and let's say I don't love Jujutsu Kaisen. She's going to have so much more fun talking about Jujutsu Kaisen with someone who likes Jujutsu Kaisen. But I am happy to listen and support them. Let's say she's trying to create her own Jujutsu Kaisen manga. I can support her by giving it an upvote, or like sharing it with other people who I think might like it. Or I can support her by saying, hey, I saw that you did this, that's super cool. And showing my support, even if it's not what I'm interested in. And I think that if you have a partner in the same romantic context, even if you guys don't share things in common, you can support each other. Having said that, though, my caveat is that I think there are certain things you do probably need to share in common, and that might be like your values, right? It can be what you care about. Finances can be something that, let's say you're someone who really cares about saving money, and the person you're interested in really wants to just spend money and doesn't care about saving. That can be really difficult. So I think to some degree, not sharing things in common if it comes to like hobbies or work or jobs, things like that might not be a big deal. But if it's stuff that you feel is just really, really fundamental to how you live your life, and this person doesn't share those values or common beliefs, that can be really, really difficult. And I think that might be something that, I don't know if you want that kind of relationship. I don't know if that'll be a good relationship, to be honest. I can't speak for that. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be, there are already things that you argue about with friends, or you have, like, think of your own family, right? There are already things with your own family that you might disagree on and have a hard time coming to consensus on. You don't want like your core values to be something you're always fighting about, right? I think that's something to think about. Opposites attract. You know what's funny? I always have felt that that's not true. I feel like most people who are interested in each other have something in common. Yeah, but I also do think that sometimes people can find that, like you said, in the sense of opposites, that it's never true opposites, right? You have certain things that are very different from each other, but you might have other things that are really in common with each other. Even if those other things are not hobbies, it could be values, it could be languages, it could be, what you want in your future. It can be things like that. Yeah, so that's something to think about. I was married for 9 years and my ex-wife was complete opposites. That's really tough. I'm sorry that happened to your relationship, but I think it's really important to figure out what you're okay not sharing. Let's say it that way. What are you okay not sharing, and are the things that you don't have in common things that might lead to arguments? And if they are things that might lead to arguments, then that might be difficult. Right? So think of it this way. If it's something that just because we don't share it, we're not going to argue about it, then that's fine, right? But for example, finances, just because you don't share it doesn't mean, you're definitely going to argue about it. You're definitely going to argue about money at some point if your lives come together. Whether you get married or not, whether you have children or not, whether you like do those social things in life, like whether or not you do those things, if you combine your life with somebody, even as simple as living together one day in the future, you're going to have finances that mesh together, and you're going to have to have that conversation. So that's really important. Yeah. So yeah, it might work better than you think. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think you can have very different interests and still be great together. I think it depends on how you support each other and whether or not you're able to support each other on things where you do need to have common ground. But yeah, I think that's the advice I can give, Dorothy. I hope that is helpful. Yeah. Okay, this is a really, really tough question, and one of my wonderful viewers, Bep, is asking this. And I have heard this in other cultures, and I've seen it in other cultures, and I've seen it in the fairy realm once in a while. I've seen it in my friendships where my friends have dealt with things like this. And I know that, living in Japan, I think I can speak to this a little bit too. So let me answer this question. But I hope that was helpful, Dorothy. I hope it gives you some insight on how to do it. Yeah, so I think you're right, Rustin. There are ways in which people who are very different from each other can be attracted to each other, especially if, for example, even in my friendships, some of my friends are so different from me, but that's exactly why I admire them. They have things about them that are so, like, things I wish I did. For example, I'm a very talkative person, but I'm very introverted. I have a friend who's extroverted, but she's not talkative. She's very calm. She listens really well. People always elected her when I was younger. People would always elect her for like student government and stuff because she was such a good listener. And we're so different from each other. But I admire her because she has things that I wish I had, and she has values and interests and personality traits that I really admire. And that's why she's one of my best friends, honestly. So yeah, but on the other hand, we have common values that kind of overlap, so it helps. So I think that can be really good. Like, actually sometimes finding someone who's different from you can be good for you. Yeah. Fallen Angel Austin, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. Welcome. Oh, this became a tiny bit big. Make the fairy comment a little smaller so you can see it. Okay, so this question is from Bep. Bep, I think this is a really tough question, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, especially if you're from certain cultures and certain families where marriage is seen as like a melding of families and not just like, oh, you're getting married, cool. No, it's like your families are getting married. So what should you do if the girl you chose as wife candidates didn't get approval from your big family? I'm born in a country that family is really important, and family here, not only your parent and your wife, but grandpa and your spouse's family. So you had someone that you wanted to get married to, but your family didn't approve. This is such a difficult question, and I think I'm going to tell you a couple answers. Well, I'm going to give you 3 answers. I switched to Twitch from YouTube. Welcome over. Thanks for coming over, Angel. Or Austin, I really appreciate it. So here's what I'll say, Bep. I think that you have some decisions that you'll have to make that I think are really going to be really big decisions in your life. So the first thing I would think about is, why do you think your family was not okay with this person? Like, why do you think your family was not happy with the person that you wanted to marry? I think understanding why your family feels that way and what their reason is can help you decide whether or not you're okay with their reasoning. And when I say that, is that how do I say this? How do I explain this? I have a family member who I love dearly, who I am very, very different from. And they are not always happy with the choices I make in my life, but they're a really important family member, right? I care a lot about them, and I care a lot about them being in my life. But at the same time, at some point, you have to live your own life. Even if you're around your family, think of it this way, and this is a really, I think, awful thing to kind of sometimes think about, but after your parents are gone, after your grandparents are gone, who's going to be left? It's going to be you. It's going to be you. You have to live after that. And even beyond that, even while your family is around you, you have to live your life. Okay, think of it this way. They're not going to live with your wife, maybe. You'll live with your wife. And even if they do live with you guys, maybe the option is that if they really don't like her, you don't live with them. And I know that's really hard because I know a lot of families live in the same house and stuff. So I guess my first question is to understand, why is it that your family member doesn't like your partner or your potential partner? And for me, like I said, I have a family member who doesn't like a lot of my decisions in life. So one day I sat with them and I said, hey, like, you're really important to me. I care a lot about your opinions, but I find it like, this is, and it was a really difficult conversation to have because they're not the kind of family member who's used to being talked back to from a younger member of the family like me. I'm the younger member of the family. I don't talk back to my elders, but here I was being like, I don't agree with how you're making decisions for me in my life, and I feel this about this. I would like to understand why you're not okay with what I want to do. I want to understand your reasoning so I can at least address them and decide whether or not I agree with your reasoning and want to follow your advice or not. So I had this conversation, and it was really tough. And I just realized that, to be honest, from that conversation, nothing changed. Nothing changed. They weren't willing to listen to my perspective on the issues they felt I was making in my life. Like the decisions I was making in my life and why I was making them, they were not willing to give me reasons that I could agree with. Right? Their reasons were reasons I felt did not apply to my life, or I felt were outdated in my life. And I felt were not values I shared with them. And so for me, the decision was to just go against what they said. And it does mean my relationship with that family member is a tiny bit more strained. It might mean that in the future, I won't have a relationship with that family member, unfortunately, and that makes me incredibly sad. But at the same time, some of my decisions in my life are really important to me, and I have to live with them. They're not the one that has to live with it. I have to live with it. So that can be really important. So that's why I say that the first thing you might want to start with is to understand why they feel the way they do, why they felt that your partner was not the right partner, and see if you can understand their reasonings. Maybe, for example, I will give you another example. I have a different family member whose advice I really, really care about, who's often very thoughtful with how they feel and is very clear to me why they liked or didn't like something. And sometimes they had really good advice that I just wasn't paying attention to, that I was making a decision and they were giving me really good insight into my decision that made me think more about my decision. And I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't willing to listen and ask, hey, why are you not okay? Why are you upset about this particular thing that I'm doing? And this person, being my mom, was like, Roro, I don't think that that's a safe thing to do. Or Roro, I think that in the future, you're going to regret it if you do this because of XYZ. And I thought about it. I was like, does XYZ really apply to me? Is that something I should really think about? And it did make me think, and you know what? I agreed with it. So here, I can give you, you know what? I can even tell you more in more detail. So I was in high school. People around me were dating. And I went to my mom. I was like, Mom, can I date? And my mom was like, no. And I was like, why not? Like, I'm 16. People around me are 16. Like, people are dating. Like, my best friend's family lets them date when they're 16. And my mom said, Ro, like, you're the kind of person that can get really distracted and really attached to the things that you love and the things that you are really passionate about, and that might be your partner, and your grades start dropping, your grades slip. And so it made me really think about like, oh, that's true. I'm the kind of person that my grades will start dropping if I care about somebody more than my schoolwork, for example. So my mom said, I think maybe you need to first graduate high school and then maybe look into that. And you know, this advice might not apply to someone else, right? Like my best friend, for example, is really focused. She doesn't get distracted easily. She dated in high school, or she dated and she was fine. She was totally fine. Like her grades were still like really, really high and she was really good. But I'm the kind of person that gets really distracted. My mom knew that. I didn't necessarily agree with my mom fully, but I listened to her and I tried to think, okay, is this something that applies to me? And FAIRI Mama was like, you know, this is what I think. And that's why, even though when I studied abroad, for example, at one point, like people were like, oh yeah, you could date, like your parents won't know. And I was like, it's not about them knowing. Like I'm the kind of person that'll do whatever the heck I want to do. But I agree with what my mom said. And I am the kind of person that gets distracted. And right now for me, I want to do well in school. That's really important to me right now. And of course, I eventually dated after high school, but like, I think maybe my life would have been really different if I had dated during high school. And that's not necessarily because my mom said yes or no, but it's because I had to think about, oh, my mom might be seeing something that I'm not seeing, and maybe let me think about that. So to bring this back to Bep, I think, like I said, asking your family what it is that they're not happy about is the first step. Now, after you've done that, you hear all their reasons, you have to evaluate, like, are these reasons I agree with? Or are these reasons things I care enough about to change the trajectory of my life? And if they're not, and this is where things get really tough, you fight back. You have to make your own life, right? It might mean that your connection with your family is really different. It might mean that you break the cultural norms, and if those are norms that you're okay breaking, maybe that's what's the best thing to do is for you. And that's really, really, really tough. I know that can be incredibly hard. Your family is really important to you, but they always like experience thing, you know what, you are just 20, we live longer than you, and we know what will happen in the future, something like that. Yeah, so here's the thing. Do they feel that you're too young? Like being 20, I mean, of course, I know people who have been married around 20, but is 20 maybe too young to them? Is it something that they're like, hey, you know, you can marry after you're 23, 24? If that's the case, you can say, okay, that's fine, but we'll still be dating, or like we'll still be together. You know, they're not going to just suddenly disappear from my life, right? But at the same time, if you feel like really confidently like this is what you want to do, and you're okay with facing whatever the consequences may be, right? Whether they're positive, you might have a wonderful life with this person, or maybe, you know, things don't go well, right? Maybe you are too, like, let's say, for example, you are too young, right? Like, let's say that's how it does end up being, and you feel like later in life when you're like, 30 something, you look back and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's okay, right? You maybe make a mistake in your life, and that's fine. But making decisions and owning up to the consequences of the goods and bads of those decisions, I think, is a part of growing up, right? Your family thinks that you're making a bad decision, and you make this decision, and maybe it turns out really good, and you're fine. And maybe it does turn out bad. And you know what? That's okay. You got to learn from it. I will say that I have had people around me, especially older people in my family, be like, we're older than you, we know. They're not all knowing. They definitely have more life experience, which is why I want to hear what they have to say. But they're not me. They don't know me. And I want to listen and learn from them. But in the end, I need to make my own decision. And that's really important, because there have been times where I've listened to family. And think of it this way. I'm going to tell you, this is the thing that I told this family member I told you that I don't agree with very often and have conflicts with a lot. I told this family member, hey, there are times when I've listened to your advice and things have gone wrong. I have listened to your advice and messed up. Was that not also your experience? So they're not always right and they're not always wrong. And they're going to be having some insights that might be useful for helping you make the decision. But in the end, I think you have to make that decision. And then you live with the consequences of those decisions, right? you just have to be willing not to blame anybody after. Like, oh, this is your fault that things went wrong. Like, you can't do that. You have to be like, okay, I heard your advice. And maybe later on you'll be like, yeah, my mom was right. Or yeah, my parents were right. But it could be that you learned a lot from that experience, you know? And that's really, really important. So I know that that's a really tough situation to be in. And I don't know if that was the most helpful answer because it's very context driven. But like I said, I would start by talking with your family to understand. Family will always be family, but her can be your wife now and tomorrow will be stranger. That's what I'm afraid of most. What if I choose her and my family is right? To be honest though, Bep, and this is going to be some, I think, really tough to listen to advice, but if you're doubting that your partner will stay with you in the long run, I don't know if that's someone you want to get married to. Like, it feels like from your comment that you feel like your wife is not going to stay with you. Is that just a general feeling that you have, or is it particular to this person that you're interested in? Because if you look at your partner and think they're going to leave me tomorrow, I don't know if that's a really good foundation to be starting off your marriage on, right? I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been married. I can't really be sure how that is, and I haven't made that decision in my life before, so I don't know. But I feel like, to me, at least, if I was imagining getting married to someone, they would be already sort of my family. It's just the difference is we're signing maybe some papers. It depends on, I guess, your culture and your country and your context. But for me, I think I see marriage as kind of like just a very, this is a tough one. I guess, okay, here's how I'm going to put it. For me, personally, and this is the context in which I'm giving you this answer, I think marriage wouldn't magically change anything drastically in my life because the person I'm getting married to is already a part of my family, even before we sign marriage papers, right? How we are perceived in the eyes of the law or in the eyes of society might change because we are now officially married. But I would think that they are part of my life before that. So if that's not the case for you, it might be really difficult to make that decision. And you are ending up really, really choosing between your family and your partner. But I think that if you're so unsure about your partner, that might be really difficult. Yeah. No, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can answer that. I think that's that's definitely out of my ability to give even like a decent answer, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. But at least what I can say, Bep, is the first step would be to talk to your family and understand what they're afraid of. Is it just your age? Is it just that they feel that you're young? Or is it that they genuinely do not like your partner? Is that what it is? Because that, I think, is the first thing you want to figure out. Yeah, I think that's really difficult. So that might be where you want to start, is to actually, is to really, really talk to your family and understand what's going on. Yeah, got it, Ro. Thanks. I think this worst case scenario could happen. You know, it can, right? Like, things might, unfortunately, people get divorced all the time, and that's not necessarily how you want to go into your marriage, being like, oh yeah, we might just get divorced. Like, that's really awful, I think, personally. Like, it's difficult, but life moves in different ways, and what was a good decision at the time might 20 years later be a decision that you need to make differently, and that's okay. Yeah, it might be that happens, but I guess I would also hope that your family would never abandon you, right? I would hope, and I know not everybody's so lucky, but I would hope that your family would never abandon you. If let's say you turned out to make this bad decision, that you're still a wonderful child to them and your family, they love you dearly, and that they would never truly abandon you just because you made a decision that they didn't agree with. And if they are someone, like, for example, I know that my mom, and this is something I'm really thankful for, my mom, no matter what dumbass decision I make in my life, I feel really confident that my mom will always, she will scold me, she will yell at me, she'll be like, Roro, you massive bubbling idiot, like, what are you doing? I would get yelled at, I would get scolded, whatever, but my mom would still be there in the end. Like, that's how I feel, and I feel really lucky to have that in my life, that even through the ups and downs, I can trust that my mom will be there for me even when I royally F up. But having said that, I really hope that, I know not everybody's that fortunate. I really hope that your family, even if they know that you're, not making decisions that they agree with, that they'll say, hey, I don't agree with you. I don't like this, but it is, I'm here for you if things go wrong. I am here for you in the future. And we can only be so lucky to have family members like that. So yeah, Bep, I'm sorry. I think that's the most I can give you. I know it's a really tough one. I tried to give you a story to kind of give you context of how I understand it, but That's a really difficult one. Yeah, people from outside perspective don't have all the context. Exactly. So having a conversation with your family, I think, is the very first step. And then from there, you just have to hopefully know your family well enough to know that they still care about you even after, in their eyes, you make a mistake. Maybe you don't make a mistake to you, but in their eyes, if it's a mistake, that they still support you and care about you in the long run. I think that's all you can hope for. Yeah, I'm wishing you luck, Bep. I hope you figure that out. That's a really tough situation, but I hope that you're able to find the right path for you and that it's a path you learn from in the future. And, you know, you can't live a life without making mistakes for what it's worth. Sometimes you don't want to make the big mistakes. You want to make the tiny ones that you can recover from. But, you know, I hope you don't go into everything thinking it's a mistake, right? You go step by step. Welcome, Titan Alt. Welcome. Thank you for following on Twitch. Welcome. Okay, so our next question is by Sayuki, one of my wonderful viewers who always gives me virtual choco. Sayuki, how to know if someone likes or interested in you? I have no idea. I think it's to get a sense of how they spend time with you. Do they want to talk to you a lot? Do they want to spend time with you? Do they want to share their achievements with you? Do they want to have you in their life during the ups and the downs? I think that those are the ways you know someone cares about you and is interested in you, whether as a friend or as someone who, you know, is a potential partner. I think that those are the things to think about. Yeah, I think that that's really, really important, is to get a sense of how they show that they care about you, right? Are they someone who tends to spend a lot of time with someone they care about? Do I ask in chat? No, you don't submit your questions there. You submit your, sorry, 1 second. Let me get you the link. There is a link. I think I'll have to wrap up in like 30 minutes, so I won't get through. I'll start to go a little bit faster through the remaining questions because I think all of these questions were a little bit later. So, where did I post the link, guys? There's a link somewhere up there in chat. Isn't there? I posted a question? Posted a link? Okay, there you go. Thanks, Magic. Yeah, so Sayuki, to answer your question more clearly, is to first understand how do they show interest in general? Like, what are they passionate about? What do they care about? And do they share that with you? And that's really, really important. So yeah, I hope that it's a very short answer, but that's a tough one. I think that that's how I would look at it, is do they share their interests with you? And when I say interest, I don't mean like interest in you, but like maybe they're really passionate about a certain TV show and they always share that information with you. Or they're really, really, you know, they're the kind of person that loves to spend time with someone they're interested in and they spend time with you. So that's a tough one. I don't know. I think I would say that you want to, outside of like more of the psychological signs that people give that I do not know about because I am not like a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I don't know those things, but out of like, you know, generally talking to people, the way I know that someone is interested in me is if they spend a lot of time with me, or they spend, you know, they care about me when I'm struggling or when I'm having my ups and downs. They pay attention to me and they cheer me on. That's how I know someone cares about me. And then whether or not that care is a friendship sort of care or a romantic sort of care, I think is requires a little more asking. I have to ask and be like, hey, like, you know, are you interested in me? Or would you be, I'm interested in you, right? I think that that's how I perceive it. This is probably one of the hardest questions. I don't know if there's like a clear way you know other than asking. And if you're willing to ask, and then depending on if you know them really well, and then you use what you know about them to understand whether or not they like you. Yeah. If I give someone chocolate, that tells you how much I like them, because I am not parting with my precious chocolate for anything, except for the person I care about. Does it work like that on Insta? I have no idea how Insta works. I follow random people on Insta. I'm not interested in them. What are you talking about? I hope this answers your question, Sayuki. That's a tough one. But to summarize, think about what you know about them, what they're passionate about, what they're interested in, and do they share a lot of those things with you? Do they seem really excited to spend time with you and share those passions with you? And if they are, that might be a sign, right? Yeah, that might be the way to look at it. Okay, next question. I'm sorry, I'm running through these a little bit really fast, because I have to head out at 2 o'clock, so we only have like 20 more minutes. So next question. Oh, Okay. This is a longer question, and I don't think it's going to fit on the screen. So I'm going to put it like this. Oh, never mind. I'm going to read it out loud because it's a long question. It's not going to fit on my screen. So by single again by Maria Takeuchi. I love your pen name. Okay, so I have a friend that I'm really fond of recently, and I've been thinking if I should take it to the next stage. But I also had the feeling that she only sees me as a friend. Should I push my plan or should I kill the feelings that I have for her? I'm afraid that if I confess my feelings to her, she wouldn't see me as a friend anymore, and I think she'll distance herself from me. The age-old, do I potentially ruin my friendship because I like them? But you know, I'm the kind of person that I think that honestly, people you're friends with are sometimes the people that you are most likely to have a good relationship with as a romantic relationship. I'm the kind of person that I have to be really close friends with someone before I'm interested in them as a romantic partner, for example. I'm the kind of person that thinks that it doesn't really make sense to crush your feelings and regret it in the long run unless, for example, they already have a partner. If they're already interested in someone or they already are dating someone, well, if they're interested, I think it's still fair game. But if they're already dating someone, I think it's really inappropriate. And this is my value compass. I think it's really inappropriate to interfere if they're already dating or if they're already married or whatever. I'm very against that kind of stuff, like where I don't interfere in my friends' relationships. Even if I cared about, like even if I liked someone, I would not interfere in the relationship. Having put that aside, I think it's a really tough one where it depends on you. I think good friendships will last even if you like somebody. And sometimes it can mean that you have to take a break in your friendship and then come back later. So I think that I would, if I were you, this is what I would do. I don't know if this is the right or wrong advice, but this is what I would do. Is I would, depending on the context, I would confess and say really honestly, like, I was really scared because I don't want to ruin our friendship, but I really care about you more than a friend. And I'd really like to take our relationship in a different direction, but at the same time, I understand if that's not how you feel or you need time to think about it. And if it ends up being that, you're not interested in me, then maybe I would need some time to kind of step away and get over this feeling, but I still value you as a friend. That's how I would do it, I think. I don't think I would want to lose my friendship, but I'm the kind of person that doesn't think you have to lose a friendship for this. I think that I would confess and be honest about being scared. Being like, hey, I am scared that I'll lose my friendship. And I really value you. And I'm really scared that I'll lose the wonderful friendship I have. But I also want to be honest with myself and honest with my feelings. And I really care about you. I would really like to take this to be a different relationship. But at the same time, I understand if that's, like being more open to potentially being rejected. But being honest that you want to keep your friendship, I think it depends on the person. I feel like I'm the kind of person that if someone I saw as a friend confessed to me, I wouldn't lose my friendship with them over it at all, ever. No. I think like for me, friends are too important to me that it would definitely mean that maybe I change how I interact with them. I would be a little more careful with how I interact with them. I would make sure that I try to be thoughtful about the fact that they like me and that I don't want to steer them along in the wrong direction. And maybe I would be different with a little bit with how I interact until I feel like maybe they have found someone else that they're interested in, or they have their feelings have changed. But I don't think I would ever like stop being friends with someone just because they confess to me, to be honest. And that's me. Not everybody's like that. The honest thing is maybe you might lose that friend and they might distance themselves from you. But would you rather maintain that friendship and just have lied to yourself constantly? I think it is a little selfish, right? You want to confess, but I think it's okay to care about your feelings and put your feelings first in sharing them with your friend. And hopefully maybe your friend distances herself from you for a little while, but they come back and they still are a good friend for you. But I think it's probably harder pretending like you're fine when you're not, right? This is a really tough one. I don't know if there's like a good answer to it. I can just say from context that I personally would stay friends. Maybe I would be a little more distant. Maybe I would be a little bit further away, but I would never let them down. And like, let's say they were going through a really tough time, even after this, I wouldn't like not stop being their friend. But I think I would definitely be more thoughtful about how I interacted with them. So yeah, it will change your relationship. I don't think it won't change your relationship. It does change your relationship because you're sharing feelings and you're being honest, and that changes things. But I don't think it has to change it for the worst, right? And if it does, unfortunately, sometimes that's how life goes. And you have to make that decision for you, right? Yeah, I would think that if I confessed, I've had a friend that confessed to me, and I wasn't interested, and it was tough at first. I was really awkward with her for a couple days. It was my first time being confessed to in that sort of manner, and I was so awkward for a couple days. But we were fine. Like, I just needed a little bit of space, and I think I just needed some time to like figure out how I interact with her. And we're still friends. Like, it's been a while since, like, we live in different places, and it's been a while. But yeah, I think that she was still a wonderful friend, and we only became distant because we ended up completely moving. And like, this was like during college. It was like we were friends in high school, and then in college we moved, and she still messages me once in a while. I still message her once in a while, so we're like not out of contact or something. But that wasn't because of what happened in high school. It was just more of time passed, and we moved in different directions in our lives. But yeah, I will say that for me personally, they're still important to me. They're still a good friend, right? Like, we're not close anymore, but that during high school, after this happened, we were still friends. We still hung out. Yeah, we were still really good friends during that time. Yeah, so it took a couple days though. It was 2-3 days of it being really, really awkward for sure. Yeah, so that happened. But yeah, I think that's something to think about. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I know I don't know if this is a question that's easy to answer, but Single Again by Maria Takeuchi. I hope that was helpful. I think you have to decide what you want to do, but I think if I were you, I would maybe confess if you really care about taking this relationship in a different direction. And if they say no, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is Rachi's husband from earlier. I will post your comment here. Sorry, I got to go through these a little faster. I want to make sure I answer all the questions. Okay, guys, I'm gonna. There's 17 questions. There are 5 more questions I have to get through. I will not be taking any more questions now. We'll pause it here after I finish the remaining of these questions. I'm gonna go through a little bit faster. I apologize. Okay, Rachi. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. Here. Okay, Rachi. This is the. Oh, sorry, Rocchi. This is the husband of Rachi. We share the same account, but should I get her a dress? Sir, my man, if she likes dresses and she wants a dress, you should. If you want to, if you can, if that is something you can get. Yeah, that's what I'll say. If that's what you want to gift her, I think she'd love it. I'd be, if I was with someone, whether I am or I'm not, I will not confirm. But if I was, I am excited by whatever they would get me, right? I'd be excited. I love it when my mom gets me choco during the holidays, okay? I love any present. So you being thoughtful, I think, is more than enough. Okay, Rustin, you asked a question. So my long-distance girlfriend, I'm going to read it out loud because it's a bit longer. My long-distance girlfriend has been going through some issues, and she went back to Hong Kong to get help from her family, and it will be 6 months together on my birthday, and I'm honestly contemplating breaking up with her because ever since this started, she has been turning her phone off for days on end. Or should I just exercise patience or hand her, I love you, I love her to bits, but the way she's been treating me is awful. So this is a really tough one, Rustin. I would first let her know. If she turns off her phone for days on end, I would first let her know that, it worries you and it makes you feel really awful. First, I would think about, okay, is she doing that because she really needs space? And if you love her so much, then maybe you can be, being patient is the way to go. But if it's really, really hard for you and it feels like you can't do that anymore, letting her know and saying, hey, like, I know you're going really through a really tough time, and I need, I can't, I can't balance it in this way, and you, like, having your phone off constantly and feeling like we're not able to connect, and that puts me in a really, like, it makes me feel like it's not good for our relationship, or it makes me feel like I can't maintain a relationship like that, and I'm concerned. I think you should let her know. I don't have an answer for this because I think this is a really tough one because your partner, sorry, my eye is itchy. Your partner is going through a really tough time. So it's really hard, right? Like, it's not like they're just chilling and then they're ignoring you. That's an easier answer. But they're going through a tough time, and for some people, they get closed off when they're going through a tough time, and they can't connect with people when they're going through a tough time. And being able to be patient with that is really, I think, important if that person is really important to you. But if you're at your limit and you feel like you can't do it anymore, and you feel like it's starting to affect your health and mental health and your ability to live your life, that's when I think you need to maybe potentially have that conversation on maybe you'll take a break. Maybe you take a break. Maybe you check in with her you ask her, find a compromise. Like if she turns off her phone for days, like maybe there's a day in the week that you check in with each other every week. So then she can turn her phone off for like 5-6 days a week, and then every Sunday you guys check in or something like that. So you could potentially find a compromise. But I don't know if I have the best advice for that. I think that that's such a tough situation because, you're both going through things at that point. Your girlfriend is going through something really tough, and you're starting to go through a difficult time of feeling like you can't connect with someone you really love. So I think the only thing you can do is try to find a compromise, or, I think honestly, if it was me and, that's a tough situation, I would try to find a compromise. I think even for my friends, that would be really hard. Feel like you don't have all the conscious paranoia because of what happened, but it's killing me. Okay, so I think this is where I will say that this is way outside of how I can help, right? I think if it's something that's getting really, really difficult, I think that someone professional is who you want to talk to. My advice doesn't go that far. I think my advice is more general. I'm not like a professional, so I can't give you advice more than that, unfortunately, Rustin. But I hope that, if she needs like medical help, I hope she gets that kind of medical help, and that if you need that kind of help and support, that you get that as well. But I think that's the most I can give you. Yeah, but I'm wishing you luck in that situation. I hope that you're able to get through it, and I hope that you and your partner are able to. Okay, let me go through the next one. Sorry, my nose is really stuffy. It's Cuffin Show here. It's starting to become like the what is it, the Cuffin Show? What is Cuffin Show in English? Like the pollen season, and it's getting to me. You can hear it in my nose, and it's totally affecting my voice. Okay, so how do I let someone down without hurting them? Who has feelings? Sorry, and part of this got cut off, didn't it? Oh, oops, sorry. Oh, whoa, part of it got cut off. For context, there's this guy who's been hitting on me, and I'm a guy too. Okay, no worries, which I don't mind. I like men and women, but I just got out of a relationship, and the guy who's been hitting on me has been super foreign, and I don't want to hurt him. Just let him know. Just say, hey, dude, like, I just got out of a relationship. Like, I really appreciate that you've been interested in me. Or like, okay, here's how, I guess, if you're not sure and you feel like they've been hitting on you, being like, hey, like, it seems like you're interested in me, like, I'm flattered, but I just got out of like a really tough relationship, and I want to be mindful of your feelings and my feelings, and I need some time and space. Maybe somewhere down the road we can chat again and get to know each other, if that's something you're okay saying, for example, right? But like, otherwise, I would just let them know that you're not in a place to be dating or being interested in someone, right? That's valid no matter what, right? Like, you could be going through a really tough time, and you're like, hey, I just am not in a place where I can be in a relationship right now. I appreciate your interest. I'm flattered, but I can't really, I can't reciprocate right now, right? You don't want them to be, if you care about this person, right? You don't want them, and you're saying you don't want to hurt them, right? You don't want them to be your rebound or something, right? And even then, like, forget all of that. Like, you should take care of yourself, right? That's really important too. So I think you can let them down by being honest and saying, hey, I'm flattered, or hey, I appreciate your interest, but I am not in a place where I can even think about relationships right now. I'm in, I just got out of a tough one. Or if you don't want to give them those details, just kind of leaving it at, I'm really sorry, I'm not in a place for a relationship right now. That's it. They don't need to know why. You don't have to give them details if you don't want to. But Austin, I hope that that's helpful. Sorry, I'm rushing through questions because I want to get through the last two, and I only have 6-7 minutes, but I really appreciate that you care about, thanks for the advice. I'll try being honest with them when I see them tomorrow. I hope they're receptive to it. I would never be offended if I was interested in someone and they said that to me. I would never be offended. I'd be like, oh, they care about my feelings too, and they care about themselves, and they know themselves well enough to know that they're not in the right place for a relationship, and they're willing to let me know. And if anything, I would think that person's really mature. Like, I would think of them as someone who's really, really mature in knowing how they feel. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is by Titan. Bloody. Oh, you want to call it? Okay, but yeah, Bloody. So you said how to get over a loss. I'm not sure. Can you? I will go to the next question, but in the meantime, can you type like what your exact question is? Because I'm not really sure. I think maybe your question got cut off, but I'm not really sure what you're asking. So maybe if you can give more specifics. Yeah, maybe if you can clarify your question, I can give you an answer. Okay, so this is the last question otherwise. I don't know what to ask, but Happy Valentine's Day is it's not a question, but Kunporsa, thank you for the cute comment. No worries, Happy Valentine's Day. I think that's a good way to end this. If, I'll try to answer Bloody's question if they're still around. Yeah, Bloody, are you still around? Can you give me your question in full form? Yeah. Also, Rustin, no worries. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better answer, but like I said, there's only so much I can. Yeah, I don't want to give advice that's beyond the scope of my abilities, right? Like I want to give you advice that I think is helpful, but there's a line at which I am not a professional. And there are professionals that are trained and stuff like that for a reason, right? So there are like, couples therapists and stuff that have a lot of training. But thank you so much for gifting subs to Smazzer, Bakunawa, Hollow, Shido, and Fading Fathom. Thank you so much for gifting subs to all those people, Rustin. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure my viewers appreciate it. The other viewers appreciate it too. Thank you so much. Oh, you lost your mother recently. I'm sorry. That's a really... Oh, okay, so I will say I do not know how to answer that. I'm so sorry that you lost somebody. And especially like I love my mom so much. I don't, that's an awful thing to deal with. I don't know what to say to that, right? All I can say is I'm really sorry for your loss, and I don't know if there are any words I can say that will change that, right? Like I think if you're really struggling, you should definitely talk to someone who knows you well, talk to other family and friends, talk to, again, someone who is equipped to help you with that. But I don't know if I can give you more than that. And so you're asking, I want to ask this girl to a Valentine's Day, but I feel miserable. What should I do? That's a really tough one. Do you think maybe going to this dance and, speaking to this girl will help you live your life? If that's the right way to put it, if you feel that it will help you live your life, then maybe that is the right thing to do. But there's nothing, I don't think, and this is again, not my professional, like I'm not a professional, this is just my opinion, but I don't think there's anything wrong in grieving. There's nothing wrong in grieving and taking time to grieve, but at the same time, how people grieve is different for different people. For some people, trying to live their life is how they deal with loss. For other people, being able to focus on that loss and treasure the person that they lost is really important to them. So I think that's something you have to decide for yourself. But please talk to someone around you, talk to other family members, talk to your friends, and check in with people who care about you, because I think they'll be able to like help you out more and give you better advice. Yeah, I think I'll call it there. But yeah, so I will wrap up by saying thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interests and interesting questions. Rocchi, I'm late to class. Sorry, no worries, Omori fan. Oh, sorry, no, Supernova. I always call you Supernova. Supernova, thank you. No worries. But yeah. So I hope that this is helpful. I hope that this was an interesting stream. I hope that I was able to answer a lot of your guys' questions. Like I said, I want to qualify all of this by saying I'm not a professional. I'm just a fairy. I'm just a fairy living in the human world and giving you my thoughts on things. I'll also say that it's really easy for me to give advice, but I myself often struggle to like execute on the things that I tell myself I want to do. It's really easy for me to be like, hey, do this, or hey, I recommend this. But then in my own life, as I told when Jury asked her question, right? Like I sometimes struggle to deal with my low points. I mean, I struggle not even sometimes, all the time I struggle, and I have a long way to go, and I want to be better too, and I have advice that I need to follow, and maybe the advice I give is not necessarily the advice that's right for you. It's just what I would do necessarily in that context, right? Or what I would have done if it were me, but that's not the same for everybody. So please always, for whatever it is, like any advice stream I do, I always say this is what I would do, this is how I feel, this is what I think, but you gotta at some point, I guess, follow what you think is right for you. What is right for you in the context of your life, and of course also when you realizing that there are times when there are certain questions that you need help from someone professional to answer, making sure you get that help is really important. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where I'll end it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have wonderful time the rest of this week. I don't know when I'm streaming next exactly. I don't know. My work schedule's kind of busy, but I might stream on Friday or Saturday. Definitely this weekend. I will definitely stream this weekend, but I don't know when I'll stream again this week. You might see a random vertical stream pop up on your feed. That might be me. So you should like and subscribe, follow, turn on the notification button, blah, 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 blah. Here's my plug. That's all I got. Yeah, so have a wonderful, happy Valentine's Day. I hope this is the one day I will allow you to eat the choco. This is the one day, one special day in the year where I will give the permission on eating choco. This benevolent leader, this benevolent choco fairy has allowed thy human subjects to eat the chocky. Yes. Amelia, thank you for all the good advice. No worries. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's so great to see you. Thanks for coming over. Yeah, have a good one. Have a good one. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I wish you all the best in your relationships, whether those are friendships or family relationships or romantic relationships or other relationships. I hope that you're able to connect with people, because I will say, as someone who's introverted, I know I struggle a lot. I have a long way to go in the way I connect with people in my own life. There's so many things about myself that I want to work on and change and be better at. And I hope that we can all kind of grow together. And yeah, that's all I got. Have a wonderful one. Rocchi desu. Otsukaresama desu. Catch you all later after this very, very happy choco-y holiday. I will go buy myself some choco. Rocchi desu. Otsukaresama desu. Bye bye. Bye. Stay chunky. Okay. Bye.